Welcome, one and everyone, to this week's episode of Scotch and Smoke Rings, episode 196. I am your neighborhood friendly Oxhorn here, as always, with my suspender set to maximum stun. I am joined, of course, today by Thomas, or Tom. I don't know how he'd prefer to be called.
Either one.
He is a real live game developer.
Hello, everyone.
Many of you might know him for DigitalDNAGames.
Yeah. Castle Miner Z, which is the best-selling Xbox Live indie game. So
Castle Miner Z, best Xbox Live best-selling indie game. You have three that are like on the best.
Yeah. There's actually two Castle Miner games, and they both sold over 1 million units on Xbox, which is rare for that channel.
Both of them?
Both of them, yeah. And then up there's actually 6 games in the all-time top 20. So the ones that other people might know is Avatar Paintball, Avatar Laser Wars, and Laser Wars 2, the sequels to those. And there's another one, Voice Changer 360, which is a app that makes your voice sound like a robot on the Xbox.
Oh, I didn't even know you made that.
Yeah.
What do you know? All right, well, so that's going to be the show today. We're going to have a fantastic time learning about the video game industry, so get your questions ready. This guy will answer everything, and I can tell you already, he is an expert on not only all things related to video games, but in life in general. He's a mathematician, he's a scientist, so I hope you've got your questions ready, because he can answer everything.
Excited to be here and to answer your questions.
All right, well, first things first, we do have Scotch. Now, I thought I was being clever. I, of course, have my regular Scoresby, which I'm fond of drinking because it's cheap at $11 a bottle. And then I went and bought this bottle of Grant's because I remember that Tom told me that he likes Grant's. But then he went and brought us some fantastic drinks. Would you like to show off what you brought us today?
So we have some 23-year-old Burnahaben, and we've worked on this already. Obviously, but it's this is good stuff. It's bottled. I find that the Scotch is bottled in the late 80s tend to be really great for some reason. This is in my experience. Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know if it's just the age itself or it's.
Well, I was born in the 80s, so
yeah, the good things come out of the 80s.
Great things come from the 80s.
Good things come out of the 80s, yeah.
And then we have this one. You want to show off this one?
Yeah, this is Crown Royal maple flavored whiskey. So I guess it's the two sides of the spectrum, right? I mean, you got the nice 23-year-old aged Bunnahabhain, and then you have the maple flavored whiskey, which is.
Hey, you know what? I'm not going to complain. It looks like it's a product of Canada.
Yeah.
All right, so this is.
I love the taste of maple. Love the taste of maple.
I do too.
Yeah, so it's.
You know, I read somewhere, and I don't know if this is true, but I read somewhere that we will no longer be getting maple syrup. Our children won't, like in 20 years, because maple syrup is apparently becoming a very rare commodity.
Wow.
I don't know.
I put it on everything.
On spaghetti,
spaghetti, ham,
pizza.
It's one of my favorite condiments, so that's actually really sad.
That would be devastating, but thankfully we're doing okay. Now, some of you are saying that the volume is really low, and I tried to make sure that the volume was doing well before we started, but I'm going to check real quick to make sure that we're starting at the appropriate volume. Also, some of you are mentioning that the video quality is better today, and that's very true. I can't find it. How do you find this thing? Computers are confusing to me. That's very true. So this is the first time that I'm streaming in HD. I'm glad. Oh, much better, says Greg Hartung. It is actually, says Chronacle. Greg Hartung, so good to see you guys here. Yeah, so I spent a lot of time last night tinkering with my stream to try and perfect it. And it's not perfect yet, but it's getting there. So we've got a little bit of a better stream going on. And according to my thing here, it says the volume's all the way up. So we're just going to project our voices and speak at a volume that can be heard. Right?
Raise a cheer!
Raise a cheer indeed, good sir. All right, we both have our glasses here, and they are tragically empty. We're going to do something about that, and I'm going to start.
Now, do you have a strategy now? Like, do you go from maybe the more peatier scotches to the less, or do you have a particular that way that you do this based on how you're palate changes as you work your way through?
I don't think I'm emotionally in a good state right now to plan it out because I'm so overwhelmed by the quality of Scotch that we have here today.
I think we should do the maple last.
The maple last
would probably be my.
All right. Well, this is also a very good one. Maybe we should start with this just so that we're starting from a fresh palate.
Yeah. So you've never had this one before.
I've never had this before. I'm going to show it off on the camera. Look at that bottle. It's 23 years old. It's a single malt Scotch whiskey, Master of Malt, Islay. So you can see the little point. It's on the island there. It's supposed to taste a little bit like...
So this is a small distillery, but it's very peaty. This particular one is a very peaty Scotch. I know that you like the peatier Scotches. I'm not as fond of the peatier Scotches.
Are you going to skip this one?
No, I'll definitely give it a try. I've tried this one before, but I'm interested to see what you think of it.
And you all know what I think about corks. That is a good thing. Tragically, the ones that I brought didn't have corks. But...
Thank you.
Yes, I'm going to unleash my inner Brian Cox, who is apparently a Scotch expert as well. All right, here we go. I don't know if that makes it taste better, but I think it does.
So I'm just really curious about what you think about it.
It's exactly as I think Scotch should taste.
Well, that's good.
It feels like I've just put my mouth in a campfire.
Yeah.
Without the fire.
I've had peatier Scotches than this, so I'm really curious if there's an upper limit to the amount of peat that you enjoy in a Scotch.
I'm all right.
Have you ever had a Scotch and you thought this is way too peaty?
I've never had a too peaty Scotch.
Really?
I've had a too acrid Scotch,
yeah.
like the Scotches that are just like fire or whatever. Usually the low brown ones, like McAllister's, I think that's what it's called, or McCormick's or something. Horrible Scotch, never get it. Really, the only bottom shelf Scotch I even dare to drink is Scoresby.
I've never even heard of that before, which is interesting.
I had to do some experimentation because I wanted Scotch, but I didn't want to spend a lot of money. So I tried every single cheap Scotch I could, and they're all horrible, except Scoresby, in my personal opinion. But this is amazing. This is a delightful brew. So cheers, everybody. Bottoms up. Thank you.
Have you ever noticed that some of them get cloudy when you add ice to them? Like this is one that I noticed does this. And I've seen it in other things like absinthe and things like that, but I don't actually know why that is.
I'm frustrated because I remember reading why, and I have since forgotten.
Oh.
But I don't know why. I mean, that's true. It doesn't mean that it's becoming impure or that you're ruining it or anything. It just gets a little cloudy. Now, we have decided to do something a little different today. I'm going to move these to the side so that we can see. Normally, I will smoke a cigar or a tobacco pipe. But we have a couple of babies in the house today, and I decided that I would... it's not us. It's not us. But I decided that I didn't want to set things on fire. So instead, today, we are smoking our electronic pipes. Would you like to have a go?
I've never smoked an electronic pipe before.
All right, here we go. First time electronic pipe.
Oh, I must not have...
Whoa. There we go. Can you do smoke rings?
I've never done a smoke ring before.
I'm going to give you a smoke ring lesson. You have to make a perfect circle with your lips. Then, imagine that this is your tongue. This is the tip of your tongue. This is the base of your tongue. You got to curl it back and then flick it out like that really quickly. Oh. You're well on your way.
On my way. I need more practice. Let's see.
All right. One more. So I'm going to fill my mouth with smoke.
Oh, those are beautiful. Just beautiful.
Well, takes practice.
Amazing. Whoa, they collided.
They did.
I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but
when
that's
smoke rings collide.
Yeah, I know.
Well, we already have a question from Lepidus of Rune Totem. He says, so Tom, are you a fan of WoW Machinima, might I ask?
In general, I haven't really been into it that much, but Brandon's stuff I actually really like. I met Brandon years ago, and I started watching your Machinima, and the songs were stuck in my head. And to this day, like, and I'm not joking about this. Like, I wake up every once in a while, and I just start hearing your songs in my head. It's like
It's a gift. What can I say?
Yeah, I know.
They say that the good musicians will be able to create earworms, like the guy who did, Mary's Had a Little Lamb. Highly technical song, gets stuck in your head. It's the hallmark of a quality song, ladies and gentlemen.
But yeah, I really enjoy it. But it's the music really in yours versus I think the videos are also great, but the music is so excellent in your videos is really what makes it.
You see why I brought this guy on the show? I can't get enough of praise. That's the thing. I'm just a narcissist. I love hearing people say that they like my work. I'm actually the same way, though. I mean, one of the reasons that I make movies the way I do is because you can only enjoy so much of the videos where a guy is a rogue and he goes into a dungeon and kills things. Mm-hmm. Set to, like, dubstep. Right? Great. Talented. Love it. Nice. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I don't know. When I want to see a good machinima, I want some story that might be outside of the game a little bit that I haven't heard before, and some music that's new instead of just ripping off some song I found on iTunes. And so that's the kind of stuff I tried to make, even though I don't have as much time these days as I used to.
One of the things in our games, we take a lot of time on the music, and people really enjoy the music in our games because we try to find the right music that fits with the certain moments of the game, and people enjoy that a lot. So it's one of the things that I really appreciate, and I spend time working on and trying to get right.
So you spend a lot of time on the music in your games. Do you compose some of it from scratch?
I used to compose the stuff from scratch, and I just don't have time to do it anymore. And I found that there's just more talented musicians out there than me that do a better job of it. Yeah. So we buy all the music, and we have people make the music for us.
Excellent.
And the majority of the music in our game is sort of orchestral arrangements that you would see in like movie trailers and things like that. Is a lot of things to sort of build excitement and punctuate certain moments in the game. And I know that I get comments constantly from people that say, "Oh, we love the music in games." It's just.
Have you ever thought of releasing an album?
We've thought about it. Yeah, it's something we've been putting together for a while. We want to get enough of it together and hammer out all the sort of issues with doing that and doing. That's something that a lot of people have requested from us is to have our games.
Well, I use TuneCore to distribute my music, and I'm extremely thrilled with the service. Absolutely love it, because you pay an upfront fee, and then after that, you get 100% of all the royalties and all the music after that.
Oh, wow.
So that's what I used to do mine, and I love it. It's like $9 to submit a CD, and then $9 for an individual track.
That's great.
Super reasonable.
That's the, I'd love to do that. I just want to really, like that stuff, I just want to really get out there. I figure like people buy the games and stuff like that, so it's like it's like I don't even look at it like another revenue stream or anything. It's just another,
It's like a community
it's just
engagement thing.
It's something people like, yeah.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, now is your chance. If you've ever wanted to talk to a guy who is at the peak of his creative endeavors,
that means I can only go down.
No, it means that's okay. A fellow who is climbing the peak of his creative endeavors.
I'm surely on my way down from here.
Who has fully embraced his own masterful creativeness in a good way. Now is your chance, ladies and gentlemen. Ask us your questions. We're trying to monitor a number of different chats here, so I'm gonna allow Tom to take a look at this screen.
Okay, yeah, this is a lot. This is pretty overwhelming.
And then I'll take a look at this screen. You can ask us questions on Twitter at Oxhorn, and then his Twitter is at DigitalDNAGames. Right?
Yep.
DigitalDNAGames. You can ask us on either of those, and we are happy to answer your questions. This is a great one, and I'd really love to hear an answer to this. I think it's extremely important.
I can't see what you're...
Deathwing7734 the First says, Tom, why do you not have a classy beard like Oxhorn?
I've thought about it. it takes a while to grow one out like that.
This is about a year and 4 months.
Yeah, and I think I would probably be better with one, but I've never been able to figure out what style of beard that I would work with me and would work with.
I'm glad you asked. So here is an encyclopedic.
Oh wow!
These are beard styles. Many of you who go to my website growabeardnow.com are familiar with these illustrations. My beautiful wife did them. So these are your options. We have the Garibaldi, which is what I'm trying to grow right now. It's a nice upside down circle. The chin strip, which maybe if you're a musketeer.
Now, when I looked at this picture originally, like really fast at an angle, it looked like he just had like a goiter. You know, like that was the...
Like, wait, what? like a growth sticking out of his neck? Well, this actually is a growth sticking out of my chin. The full natural, right? If you wanted to be Gandalf, the Abe Lincoln, or the chin curtain. So,
well, with the top hat, I think the Abe Lincoln would work. Oh, that's just under here like that.
Yeah, it's everything without the cheeks and the mustache. You just shave the cheeks and the mustache. Also, I think mutton chops would look amazing.
That's it. I used to have really long sideburns, like down to here. So
really?
Really close to the mutton chops, not all the way around, but they were sort of down.
Well, there you go. We have quite a plethora of options here.
Yeah, and I had I guess sort of no. I had the one on the sides here like that, which is not here. This is like the imperial beard where it's just straight down like this.
The goatee, just a goatee. Or did it have the mustache as well?
I had the mustache, and then it went straight down like this. So which one is that?
I don't think I have...
Oh, it's not here.
I have it on here. No. It's probably... I have... Wait, here's another one. Yeah, here's another one.
Oh, okay.
Then,
yeah.
That one? The natural...
It was a little less like Colonel Sanders, though. It was without the handlebars. Yeah, that was... So I guess that's probably the closest.
That's probably
yeah.
The natural goatee.
These are really good pictures, by the way.
Isn't she a great illustrator?
And I'm not just saying that because I made the goiter comment on that.
No, she's a fairly good illustrator. You're probably frustrated because you don't see the images, but they're actually on growabeardnow.com.
They're really good.
Thank you. And Shawarma is saying something that's incredibly important that I'm going to answer if I can find it. He says, so Oxhorn wrote a book. Yes, indeed, I did write a book. It's called The Tale of Cloran Hastings, and I put it somewhere. Oh, there it is. Would you get it? It's under that stack of papers. There it is. I never do this on my show, promote my own book. I never do it. It never happens. But since you asked, this, of course, is my novel, The Tale of Cloran Hastings, available for $9.99 as an ebook or $19.99 as a paperback, or if you've got the money, $29.99 as this beautiful hardcover. It's a fantasy, nautical, swashbuckling tale that every child or adult should read. So, The Tale of Cloran Hastings, by yours truly, CloranHastings.com. Yes, and he knows. He's in it. No.
Which character am I?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, what are your thoughts? We are here to answer your questions and have a great time. What's going on that chat over there? I can't actually read it from here. The Twitch TV chat.
Oh, wow. I missed that.
Yeah,
okay.
So this is
Sorry,
Twitch.
I'm a real noob.
It's okay. We've got a complicated setup over here. This is Twitch TV.
I was looking at the Twitter. Okay. Doesn't look like we have like a real question.
No real questions.
Yes, there's a lot of comments here.
Oh, okay.
Good, but
all right, here's one from Grumac. I believe this is for you, Tom. When learning a programming language, would you recommend starting with C++?
That's an interesting question. C++ is fairly difficult to program in, so if you've never programmed in anything before, it might be hard, but it's one of the most versatile languages. You can use it on almost every platform that there is.
Is that because it's older?
Yeah, it's like everything sort of is based on it. You know, so all like the newer languages like C# and Java and things are all like sort of simplifications of C++. So sort of if you know C++, you can kind of quickly learn to program on anything, and then you can use C++ on just about every platform that there is. So
then, if you were suggesting someone to learn one language that will help him through everything, it would be C++ because all others kind of are derived from it?
Yeah, that you'll probably get the most. And if you've mastered C++, everything else is sort of easy at that point.
But so it's kind of difficult?
It is more difficult than the other languages, but if once you've sort of mastered that, then it's easy for you to go on the other ones versus to go the other way around. Now all the games that we make on the Xbox are done in C#.
Oh.
Yeah, and that's because of you sort of have to do that for the Xbox Indie system. And C# is a wonderful language. It's like an easier version of C++, and we're able to do stuff in C# faster than we could, in C++, like considerably faster.
And is there any learning curve to learning C# if you know C++? Or is it pretty much, C++,
If you know
you can do
C++,
anything
it's like sort of a night of like, okay, here's the difference, and that's it.
Gotcha.
You can learn either one. All the tools for developing on the Xbox are free.
Really?
Yeah, you can download all of them for free. There's a version of Visual Studio that's free, and they have a lot of resources for learning their languages and stuff. So it's and there's once you make your game, there's a $100 fee to put, I think it's 20 games now onto the Xbox. So you can wait till your game is all done and working right, and then you can pay the $100
and then you don't have to pay it again for submitting.
It's
20
every
games?
year. It's a membership, so you have to pay it every year.
But you can submit up to 20 games.
Up to 20 games with that $100 for that thing, and I think that I don't know of any game on that system that has made less than $100.
Really? So
Yeah,
almost every single game will make at least $100.
Yeah, if you made there's people that have literally made a screen that turns blue.
And that's their game?
And it made $100. So it's like if you get to the point where you have a game that's just about anything you make, and I love the indie scene. I love indie game developers, and I think that anybody making anything on any skill level across the board, and there's a lot of people on there that have never made anything before. I've never programmed before, never made a game, and then they make a game and it goes on the Xbox, and they get to see it there, and real people can buy it.
People buy it and play it,
and that's neat. So the that $100 is really a great, really a small barrier to get onto the Xbox. Yeah.
Very small barrier.
Yeah.
So what was the name of that blue game? Was it like Seeing Smurf or?
There was one that was like, I don't remember. I wish I did remember the name, but it was like a nightlight or something like that.
Oh, really?
So it was like the screen turned blue and it changed your whole room to blue. And as ridiculous as that sounds, I think you could change the color yourself. As ridiculous as that sounds, I think it's a neat sort of novel use for your Xbox.
Well, it's almost as bad as like the iPhone flashlight, which was just a.
We made a couple of those ourselves. One of our games is Avatar Alarm Clock.
Oh, really?
Which is an alarm clock for your.
It's just a clock on the screen.
Well, no, it's more than that, because there was a clock on the screen.
Oh, okay.
And that game did fairly well,
Really?
actually. Yeah, that was one of them that did well. This is why people criticize the thing, but ours was Avatar Alarm Clock. So your Xbox avatar appears, and then there's a bedroom, and they go to sleep, and then the frame changes to a view out the window where there's this sort of mellow meadow that's glowing in the night.
Oh, that's nice.
And an alarm clock on the dresser next to it. And then as the sun comes up in real life, the meadow changes to daytime.
Okay, so there was actually more to it than just that.
It was people really the people that appreciated it really liked it, because it was meant to be like one of those fancy alarm clocks that wake you up slowly. So it gave you this feeling of like, the sun was coming up in your room, and it was relaxing to go to sleep too, because there was all these different sounds that you could listen to go to sleep, and they would slowly,
we have an Xbox, and the only alarm we have in the house is on our iPhones, and so every morning it's like, it's just this horrible noise. Now that I know this exists, we're gonna have to get it.
We have that horrible noise in there.
Oh, you do?
If you really want it, out of many other different sounds that you can play. And it's funny, because as we were testing the game, every time that horrible sound would play, everybody would cringe in the room, because you have these memories of being like in junior high or something, waking up early in the morning.
Of course, that's my life now.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, have a coffee. Well, so this is a great breaking point. We're 24 minutes into the show. It's time to scotch up. What's our next drink?
Well, now I'm really curious about your
Scoresby?
Yeah, your.
Would you like to try? All right.
Economy Scotch.
This is very cheap. It's $11 for a bottle of this stuff. It's really cheap, super cheap.
Still from Scotland.
It is. It's real Scotch. So, it's blended Scotch whiskey.
So this isn't like antifreeze or something like that. Like
no.
Like,
I mean, maybe you could set it on fire and run something. Wouldn't that be awesome to invent a machine that runs only on Scotch?
Yeah.
I would love that. That's the next computer I'm going to build. But it is real Scotch. It's not very rare, even though it says very rare. You can find it in any shop. And it's blended Scotch whiskey, not single malt, so it's a little lower quality. But it's okay. So
now, does that really bother you, the blended Scotch whiskeys?
I personally haven't really noticed a huge difference. Well, so I take that back. If it's so blended Scotch whiskeys just in general tend to be cheaper. And I've found that cheaper whiskeys don't taste quite as well. Now, all of the whiskeys I really do like, all of the scotches I like, are single malt. So on that basis, yeah, I can say that there's a difference. But if you were to sit down and in one hand you had a single malt, and in the other you had a blended, and you had to tell the difference between them, depending on the brand, I don't know if you really could. So we'll see here. You've tried the single malt 23 years aged one, and now you're going to try the lowest of the low, $11 bottle of Scoresby.
Okay.
And then you can tell me which one you like best. Did you finish your other glass?
I did. I'm a lightweight, so I've been taking them, small samplings of them, but it's enough to get the taste of it.
All right. Well, I'm not a lightweight, so I'm gonna try a little bit more than usual.
The smell is good.
Yes,
Now I can definitely taste the difference, but it's not a really objectionable.
Not really huge.
No,
is it like a biting in the back of the tongue?
That's what I feel. It's like almost a bitterness or a biting in the back of the tongue, and that's the major difference there. So I can tell the difference, but it's not offensive. It's not offensive.
The flavor. Can you taste the flavor?
Mm-hmm.
Is it pleasant?
Yeah, it is pleasant. Actually, I don't like the peatier scotches. Like I like them less peaty. So this is actually probably more pleasant to me than actually drinking the.
Well, there you go.
So
You're an 11 bottle of Scotch man. Cheers. Not bad, not bad. I think yours is better.
It's a bitterness. I guess that's
Yeah, a bitterness at the end of the Scoresby.
Sort of you can sort of feel it in the back.
Well, you've definitely got some news. So you've got some fans who are in the chat tonight. We've got Oxhorn fans. We've got Digital DNA fans. They're probably eager to know what is on the horizon for Digital DNA.
So we have a
games.
lot of things, and there's a lot of things we haven't even really announced on our Facebook pages and things like that. Is that the biggest thing that's, I guess, in order is that we have the PC version of Castle Miner Z coming out very soon. We're actually finishing it up this week. And it should be available in May. And I still have to sort of work out the details of where and when it's going to be available, but the best place to get those details are probably either on our Twitter feed or on our Facebook page. And our Facebook page is easy to find if you just put in Facebook or Castle Miner in the search.
What's the URL? Facebook.com
/ Castle Miner.
Castle Miner?
Yeah.
Okay. And your Twitter is twitter.com /
There we have two of them. There's DigitalDNAGames is one of them, and the other one is Castle Miner.
Okay.
So they're both of them are officially ours. There's two pages on Facebook. There's Castle Miner and Castle Miner Z. Those are both officially mine. And then there's DigitalDNAGames and Castle Miner on Twitter, and those everybody else, all the rest of them are not. I know there's like a lot of fan pages.
Those are fans.
Those
okay.
are fan pages. So the big difference is I won't answer your questions if you go there. But yeah, the PC version's coming out, and there's a lot of people are excited about this because there's a lot of people that either don't have Xboxes and can't play. Those are just beautiful.
Thank you.
Absolutely beautiful.
Sorry, I don't mean to distract you.
No, not at all. It's mesmerizing. It's mesmerizing.
I'm a magician. What can I say?
But there are a lot of people, don't have Xboxes and can't play the game on the Xbox, so they can play on the PC. And the other thing is the Xbox games only ship to a certain amount of countries, so there's a lot of people from other countries that have been wanting to play the game, and we'll have the idea to do it the first time, or have the ability to do it for the first time. So it'll be the most recent version. So it'll have everything that the Xbox has. It's the 1.54 version, which is the most recent version of the Xbox that came out. It was about a month ago, I think, is when that one shipped. And it has the aliens and everyone. We had a big update with aliens back in November, and got people.
Nice.
So it'll have the aliens and everything when that comes out. The other one that we've talked about a little bit in our other Ustream feeds is Castle Miner Warfare, which is the first-person PvP experience of Castle Miner.
Oh wow!
And we released a couple screenshots, and we're gonna have a trailer that comes to that soon. Like that one is just about complete, and will be coming out soon. We're finalizing some stuff on that, so that's big. And then we are also, and this is the first time we've ever announced this anywhere.
Breaking news, ladies and gentlemen.
We are working on a PlayStation version of Castle Miner Z.
So you won't have to own an Xbox to enjoy your games.
You'll have the same experience on the PlayStation, and that I don't have a date for because we're sort of getting going with the PlayStation stuff, and getting going on the PlayStation in general. So there'll be slightly a PS3 version of Castle Minor Z.
Excellent. So that's going to significantly open up your audience.
Yeah, I
base.
hope that it can bring. One of the things I like is all our games are really cheap. Like Castle Minor Z is on sale for $1 right now.
Oh,
and
perfect.
What I like is the idea that lots of people can play the game. You know, versus like having a more expensive game that less people play. You know, I want the games to be out to like as many people as possible. So I love the idea that it's now on the PC and the Xbox and the PlayStation. And the idea is that like the prices stay really low on the games. You know, like less, you know, $5 or less, depending on, you know, the platforms or whatever.
Yeah.
So that, you know, it reaches a broader audience, and that's really important to me, because in the end, as an indie developer, you know, having people actually play the game is really what's important to me.
So my wife is a huge Xbox fan. She loves it. She gets on it often. She's a big Halo freak.
Yeah.
She loves Halo. I'm a PC guy. I never really got into console games. I like logging on to World of Warcraft or to a PC game and playing that. So now you can entertain all of us, right?
You can entertain all, and it's funny that you say that, because it's my dirty little secret is that I am a PC gamer too.
Okay.
That if I sit down and play a game, it's always on the PC. I play a lot of Call of Duty and Battlefield on a lot on the PC, and I don't enjoy those games as much on the Xbox. So
I'm the same way.
I would love to make more PC games. Like that would be ideal. It's just a little bit harder to sell games on the PC than it is to.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I guess that makes sense because the Xbox is designed for games.
Yeah, so it's all you got to do on the Xbox is just put it up there. You know, the audience sees it. They have their system lets them pay you really easily for it. Where if you put something up on the PC, then it's like you know, if you put it up on a website, virtually nobody sees it. Then you have to market it yourself.
A lot of marketing.
You have to collect the money yourself. You have to have, you know, a way to, you know, copy protection and things like that. So it's like.
Are you considering Steam?
We are considering Steam, and we actually have Castle Minor Z is in Steam Greenlight right now. Basically,
cool.
I don't know if you know much about the Steam Greenlight system. The way that Steam works now is you put your game up there, and then the community has to vote to pass your game through. And it needs a very large amount of votes to go through.
I see.
So we are pretty much, like, I would say 2/3 of the way through the Greenlight process. And Castle Minor Z has been in there for months, you know. So if people are interested in seeing Castle Minor Z on the PC, you know, faster or whatever, it's like going through our Greenlight is the way to do that. And unfortunately, it's like a complicated URL and stuff like that. But if you go to our website, castleminor.com, there is a link directly to the Greenlight there. And all you do is vote. You don't have to pay or do anything. You just vote, and that helps us immensely. That's like the best thing that you can do. You just say thumbs up, yes. You know, I want this on Steam.
All right, what's the website again?
It's castleminor.com.
So do you use DigitalDNAGames?
I do. And then there's a link. You know, I said this wrong now. There's a link to Castle Minor Z. I should probably have it in both places.
We are. Is this music from your?
This is the trailer to. This is the sequel to it, where this game is all about exploration and combat. We have a system that's designed to sort of keep you moving all the time in the game, instead of staying in one place and building. And the enemies are very, very hostile in the game. So in this game, you're going to craft weapons like AK-47s and rocket launchers and things like that. And you're going to defend yourself with those from this very, very hostile environment. And the sort of skeleton dragon, and then you unlock something special.
So you took the world-building, sandbox, brick-building concept, and you turned it into a community-based RPG/PvP sort of thing.
Exactly. I always had this dream of making a game where you went through a really large, infinite environment. Our environments are infinite. You can walk on forever. In fact, there's videos of people walking 1,000,000 meters in Castle Miner.
Oh my goodness.
And if you think about that in terms of like real distance, that's like distance from like the West Coast out to like like the end of Montana or something like that. Like actually like walking through that distance. I mean, it's amazing that people.
And your gamers, your players have recorded videos of themselves
walking
that distance.
1,000,000 meters out into this because the world is infinite. You can keep walking. It keeps changing as you go.
Those are some intense fans.
Those are really some intense fans.
That's
yeah,
great.
I really appreciate the devotion that people have had to that. But you can basically, I wanted this idea where you and your friends would party up and you would go and you would adventure in a world and you'd find cool things and you would defeat enemies on the way, and this is what we really got. So the sort of Minecrafty sort of world really made that easy for us to do, and the game really encourages you to really travel and move versus to build things, and that's kind of the big difference between the two Castle Miner games. Like the first Castle Miner game is all about building. And this one is really about combat. And we worked really hard to kind of get the mechanics of the guns and everything to feel really good, like a good first-person shooter, so that this whole experience was really fun.
Are the two worlds in both games completely separate from each other?
Yeah, Xbox unfortunately doesn't let us share any data between the two games. So we would love to do cool things where you get to build something in one thing and do something in another. But there is a creative mode that you can use in Castle Miner to sort of freely build yourself a giant fort, and then you can play that with enemies and have the enemies come. The dragons actually will knock down your structures.
Oh really?
Yeah. So that's another thing. Like they shoot giant fireballs that.
Oh goodness.
That will knock down your structures. So
I'm officially scared of this game now.
Yeah,
I don't know if I want to.
That's the one thing that
scared.
people say about the game is they say it terrifies them, and I think that's the best compliment ever, because you'll be underground and you'll hear like things rattling and chasing you, and these things are out to kill you. Like they're not. Got all kind of loitering around, and like these things are vicious and they're out to kill you. And people say it's like they'll choke on things and they'll spit their drinks out while they're playing, whatever, because it's so terrifying. And there's videos on YouTube that you can find of people just screaming their head off while they're playing. Because it's so terrifying.
That's
yeah, because
awesome.
We've worked really hard to make it so that you were never really safe in the game. Like you always felt like there was this sort of threats, and things are coming up and surprising you and scaring you, and
now that I think about it, I have to admit, when I played World of Warcraft, I was never scared. Never. Because I knew that I would just respawn and go get my corpse. When I played Dark Age of Camelot, I got frustrated at the PvP when I would die, but in PvE, I never got scared. When I played Ultima Online, I was terrified.
Yeah.
Whenever a monster would come out, I'd be like, oh shoot, and I would run, because I knew there were some serious consequences to that. And I actually think back on it now and go, wow, I really kind of missed the Ultima Online days.
Yeah, and that's something that, I mean, a lot of people asked us about, like the main game that we made was endurance mode for this game. There's a bunch of different modes in the game. And endurance mode is an arcade-like experience where there's no saving. And that was sort of one of the reasons for that, because you don't, it's sort of like, you're out, and this is where all the awards and everything in the games have to be won in endurance mode. So
Right.
it's like you sit down with your party and you decide, I'm going to play for 4 hours, and we're going to achieve this goal in the game. Then you can go off and do it, and you'll get something unlocked, and you get to save that, the thing you unlocked. But the consequences are harsh in the game. One of the things that you have to do in the game is rely on your friends, because what happens is it's just like in World of Warcraft. If your friend dies, he'll drop all his stuff, and maybe he had a lot of good loot on him. Your other friend can pick it up and stay alive, and your friend will spawn back at you, and then he can give you back your gear.
I see.
So you're relying on your friends a lot. So what happens is you'll get this experience where you'll go underground in like the mines, and you'll get separated, and then you'll hear your friend screaming, and you're like, oh my god, I just got killed. And then you'll have to like run over to his corpse, kill the thing that killed him, pick up his loot, and then defend the area until he can spawn back again.
That actually sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, so that's the experience that people like about that.
I would too. I mean, it actually has a great impetus to make social interactions.
Yeah, and we find it's funny is that a lot of times when you make games, you work on them so long you don't want to play them. when we do the testing, like every time we do an update or something, we have to do testing. We get just lost in the game, and it's like we'll play for hours and hours, and we'll have tons of fun because you get in these experiences where you're just like you're all underground, and it's like one person's in trouble, and you're trying to protect him, and the next person gets in trouble, and this one person is trying to protect everybody, and it's like and then finally you get your stuff together, but the night has fallen, so you got to wait till the next morning before you're going to travel further, and it's fun. It's
always a great sign.
Yeah.
All right, so you wanted to show us a link on this
website?
website?
There's the link here is to our green light. If you go to this is castleMinerZ.com.
All right, so it's not underlined and it's not blue, ladies and gentlemen. You're gonna have
I'm a really crappy web developer, mediocre game developer, and a crappy game developer. Unfortunately, Steam has these really complicated URLs for their green light. I wish they.
Yeah, it looks pretty rubbish up here.
So if you come here and you just click the yes button,
all right, let's
that's
scroll down.
the like yes, and like I said, you don't need you have to be signed in. As you might not,
All right, I'll sign in and do this after the show.
Yeah, that's fine.
And we'll make
but
sure
you don't have. It doesn't cost anything to do it. It's just a vote, and it helps us out immensely to do that. Because what I keep saying, and we say this in the green light, is that if we're able to get on Steam, because it's such a great distribution platform for the PC, that we can bring a lot more to the game then, because we'll have sort of a lot of different places that are supporting us, and we can bring not only stuff to the Steam version, but bring it back to the Xbox version and the PlayStation version as well.
All right, here's a good question from Ironbark. He says, here's the question I'd like answered. What are the big differences between this game and Minecraft?
Okay, so we get this a lot, and I appreciate the question, because when you look at the games and the videos, they're sort of hard to see. The first big difference is sort of the overall visual look of the game. In CastleMinerZ, we tried to make this sort of dark, make this really sort of dark, dismal environment, and we used our high definition graphics from CastleMiner to do that. Now I know there's a lot of texture packs and stuff that you can use on Minecraft to make it look like this, but we tried to sort of tailor a whole bunch of stuff to this sort of dark and dismal environment. But the biggest difference is the emphasis on combat. Is that everything in the game is set up to make combat interesting and fun, where it's it's very visceral and very immersive, sort of like Call of Duty or something like that, where you really it's the controls and everything are focused on the combat, and the game is set up to discourage you from building things. So I found, and this is where a lot of this I talk about this experience a lot. When I played Minecraft, I really enjoyed the first 5 or 10 minutes of it, like where you were thrown down in a world and you were scrambling to get resources and you were trying to survive. But then after the first night came, you were sort of safe. You had a little base and you could always sort of retreat to it and be safe. So the mechanics of CastleMinerZ are set up to force you to travel, to force you out of your safety all the time. And although it seems like a small and subtle difference, it's a significant difference in the experience that you have playing that and playing with your friends. Because in this game, it's really about an adventure you're going on with your friends instead of just a place where you can build. So that's kind of the main difference, and I feel like it really does that. It really sort of captures that first day in Minecraft continually through the whole game. Like you always feel like it's that first day in Minecraft where it's like you're trying to survive. We put a lot of emphasis on the weapons in the games. There's with all the varieties and stuff, there's probably 30 or 40 different weapons that you can.
Really?
Yeah, different types of guns. There's all different classes of guns. There's different types of ammunition. There's all these different things. There's hand-to-hand weapons. And when you start coming across the aliens, you can dope your weapons with their materials and make the laser weapons, which turn out to be the laser weapons from Avatar.
I just love the idea of Minecraft meets aliens.
yeah, and the aliens was an addition everybody likes. The aliens, basically what happens is you'll come across these giant craters in the landscape randomly as you're traveling, and you'll find when you go into they're giant. They're just giant craters, and when you go into them, you'll find that they're like made of this space rock that has caves in it. And when you go into the caves, there's a glowing material that the aliens have, but when you try to harvest it, the aliens come out to protect it, and it's very, very difficult to harvest for that reason. But if you take that glowing material and you dope your weapons with it, you get these really great laser weapons that you can use. And the laser weapons also have the added feature of removing blocks when you shoot them.
Oh,
so
it's functional.
It becomes
too.
like a mining weapon. It's not just a gun.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Wait, Ghoul Breath says, "Hey, Chat Ox, how are you? I'm doing well. and I can tell you that with my mouth. I don't have to type it. So there you go. It's time to Scotch up. So I finished my Scoresby. Have you finished your Scoresby? There we go. Nice done. Should we go to Grants or should we just go ahead and do the maple? What would you prefer?
Let's do, I really want to do the maple last because I don't think there's any recovering from the maple.
It's that intense.
I think if we did the maple first, every one of these would be like, I taste a little hint of maple in that too. You know, that's
some pretty strong stuff.
Yeah.
All right. So the reason I got this Grants is because Tom once told me years ago that this was his dad's.
Yeah, my father is a real. He really likes Scotch, and that was
This was his favorite Scotch.
Yeah.
So I went ahead and got it.
Have you ever had this before?
I have.
You have.
And I liked it. It was pretty good.
Yep.
I actually really liked the way the bottle feels.
I know my dad liked to drink Scotch. I don't know if he was a connoisseur or not.
Okay.
I know that.
So this might not be the best Scotch, but it was the best that fit well with him.
Yeah.
All right. Cheers.
It's very different.
Mm-hmm.
Very different. It's a lot sweeter.
It kind of has a, it's like a sweetness and a caramely kind of texture to it. Yeah, it's not bad. It's definitely not bad. Is it single malt or blended? No, it's definitely blended.
Yeah, blended.
You can tell because it's kind of got that little pinch.
Yeah.
That pinch at the back of the throat.
It doesn't really bother me so much. It's the blended versus the single malt. It's like I guess I just don't I am particular enough to appreciate it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you guys have sent a lot of fan art, and today we've got 2 pieces that we're going to go through. So I'm going to go ahead and show those off. This was submitted by Juan Newman, and it's classy stashy, right? You know what I would have done? I would have said stay stashy instead of stay classy. But look, I love it. It's fantastic. Thank you so much, Juan. And then the next one is this. Classy Ox in a box. Dr. Oxhorn. So we talked last week about if the World of Warcraft world collided with the Doctor Who world. Apparently, Christina decided that she was going to show us this. And so she created Oxhorn in a Doctor Who box.
Pretty cool.
So thank you for that, ladies and gentlemen. Your fan art is always appreciated. As always, please send your fan art to the new Scotch and Smoke Rings Facebook group that I created just because it's going to be a lot easier for me to find it and show it off. Yeah, there's Autumn. I had to do it. Sorry, Lal, she says. Well, thank you so much. We love your fan art. Now, I had this camera covering Twitter. Did we have any tweets? Oh, Thunder God says the music was too loud, so we heard almost nothing of what you guys were talking about.
Well, let's just do it again.
Okay, the entire thing.
The entire game.
No, you're talking about just when those videos were playing. I think he was me just when the videos were playing in the background.
Yeah, they are loud.
Yeah, they're pretty loud.
Yeah.
So hopefully it wasn't for the entire time. So what is?
Hey, that's a good one. He says, "Can I make Ox's book into a game and for us to play?" And which is a neat idea because we've talked about making a game for a long time. We've talked about what that game would be and what it would be, but the idea of making a game out of your book would be an interesting prospect.
Yeah, you know what's funny about that is if we made a game of the book, we'd be making a game of the book which was made of the game. And the reason I say
it's
that
like a gameception.
It's a next on Oxception, the Tale of Glory and Hastings.
Oxception, yeah.
So the reason I say that is because my book was first a game. When I first started being creative, I had a program called RPG Maker for the PlayStation. Did you ever have a PlayStation when you were a kid?
I think I'm a lot older than you.
I'm 31, all right?
Okay, yeah.
Are you a lot older than me?
No, I'm 37.
37, so you're 6 years older than me.
Because when the PlayStation came out, I was pretty old.
Were you?
The PlayStation, yeah.
All right, so when I was like 15, 16 years old, the PlayStation was out. RPG Maker for the PlayStation came out, and I sat down and I made a whole bunch of games. My first was called Sabaoth the Nerith War. I know. The next was called Nisi the Return of the Noths. I know. But the final game I made was called The Tale of Cloran Hastings. And that was the favorite game on that particular system. And so I decided to make a novel out of it. And that's what you see to this day. So if we did make a game based on the book, it would actually be a game based on the book, which was based on the game.
Well, no, that's it. We could just make the game. You know, again,
Yeah.
it'd be like Clon Hastings 0 or something like that.
Well, the thing was, RPG Maker was like one of those Zelda above board things where you just went block after block after block. So if we did make a game,
you'd be in there.
oh man, you'd be at the wheel. You'd be fighting the sea. All right, I like this idea. Thank you for bringing that up. We're gonna have to do this now.
That was a really interesting idea.
Ninja of WoW says, Tom, what was the first system that you ever remember playing?
Oh wow, it was
Don't say Atari. Was it Atari?
I think Atari was the first real system.
All right.
Before Atari, though, there was the computer. Like I had a computer in the 70s, and we played the original Adventures of Zork on the computer.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So we've got a legit gaming geek here today.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was like if I described the computer was the size of a refrigerator. Like, yeah, it was. There's an interesting story around the computer, but the computer was the size of a refrigerator, and I remember playing games on that, and that was a year or two before the Atari came out in the 70s.
How were you able to afford a computer the size of a computer?
My father he worked, and it was part of what he did for his work. So him and a friend actually built one of the first computers.
You're kidding me,
it was
really?
It was a home-built computer, and it was the size of a refrigerator, and this was in the 70s, and I always thought it was I still remember the process to start it up because there was a 10-step process to start the computer up. It was like, you get to flip switches on and off and watch for lights and turn it off. It was like something from like a sci-fi movie, like, Will Robinson,
sick.
And there was a couple really crappy old games on there, but that was one of them. I think it was the original text-based Adventures of Return to Zork or Zork. I think it was Zork was the original one with the.
I'm fascinated.
Yeah. So
did your dad make it from a kit, or did he just?
I think it was a kit. I don't know the details. I think it was. There was a lot of kit computers back then, and I know what was going on was he was making one for work, and he was making another one in parallel in his house. And originally, the computer didn't even have a screen. It had like a printer with a typewriter, and it was just text would scroll up on a printer. And I remember getting the first monitor.
Wow.
And that was a big deal. Because
all right.
It was,
So this guy's old. Just so you know.
Yeah.
He's an old guy.
I'm an old guy. So I've been there from the beginning. And the other thing that's interesting is that my dad's friends at the time all worked in the arcade industry. And they would routinely take me like every Saturday to arcades because they'd have to do like research at arcades. So I had sort of like the inside track on a lot of like the early arcade industry.
Wow.
A lot of his friends were original, like people in the original coin-op industry in the 80s. So and I started making games shortly after on that same computer when I was about 5 or 6 years old.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, but then the 2600 was like the staple. Like that was like the first, I would say, like real system. The Atari 2600 had lots of games for that, played at endless hours. So like it's hard to call that original computer a gaming system,
right?
But the Atari 2600 was definitely it.
That's amazing.
There were great games for the time back on that.
Wow. Have you ever thought of taking the games that you made when you were 5 and turning them into Xbox Live games?
No, because they would be absolutely horrible. There was a lot of. I made a lot of text-based adventures, and I just don't.
I love those though.
Really,
so
really.
Great.
And I'm trying to think. It's hard for a text-based adventure to hold up, but then also one that was written by a 5-year-old, or a 6-year-old to hold up. So I don't. That would be. That would be kind of, I don't know if that would really fly with today's audience.
Always an option. Always an option. Okay, so let's see. We've got a lot of comments here. If you see one.
This is a good one here. Someone asked, what would be your advice for a student going into college for computer science? What languages would you get a head start on? And what's your biggest mental barriers, which is interesting.
That's from Pyre?
Yeah, Pyre. Okay. It depends on what you want to do. If you're just going to school for computer science, if you want to work in the, aircraft or, the banking industry or something like that, they all sort of have different requirements. When I went to college, everything was taught in C++. And I would recommend any programmer, if you're serious about it, learn C++ because it will come up at some point in your thing, and it's the basis for so many other modern languages. If you're going to go into games, one of the first advices I have is play lots of games. I know that when
these guys are good at that.
Yeah, yeah. When I would interview people. I've worked in lots of different places in the real game industry and made games for the Xbox and PlayStation and stuff like that. That's one of the first questions we always ask people is what are your favorite games? What games do you play? Because you really can't do that job unless you've played lots of games. And if you're interested in math, is a big thing. So one of the things that you want to get into is get really good at math. Because all the math that I've ever learned and everything, and I've had lots of math, I've actually used in the game industry. Because people think they do things like algebra and calculus and stuff, and they think, when is this ever going to be relevant to my life? Well, if you're making games, it's going to be relevant to your life. It's something that you're going to use. So that's like really study up on math and become there. And as far as mental barriers, it's really about not getting discouraged, I think, because it's difficult, especially if you're going to be a programmer. It's a difficult art to do, and it can be frustrating at times. So you have to sort of accept the fact that you have to sort of start simple and, work your way up to things and not get discouraged by that.
Well, that's good news. I mean, math is something I was always weak at in high school, and so it's something I didn't pursue in college. And now that I'm working full-time, I find that I use math every single day.
Yeah.
If I'm doing marketing analytics or whatever, I'm using math. Do we have any good ones over there?
Okay. A lot of people complaining about the music about the music on the videos. So I think
is it this music or was it the video that's playing?
It must be this music is pleasant. I'd like to have this music playing all the time in on our office. That would be great.
All right, I turned the volume down on this music just a little bit.
I don't see anything in here. Here we have one here. Where do you get the inspiration?
From Rotipris? Where do you get the inspiration? And for certain games, where do you get the inspiration for making certain games and for being a game creator overall?
This is a really interesting question to me. Because where a lot of the inspiration for these games comes from is my childhood and things that I did in my childhood. And a really good example of that is the voice changer app for the Xbox. It's like when I was young, I had one of those Transformer voice changer helmets.
You're kidding me.
Yeah.
Okay, my wife is not your biggest fan. She loves Transformers, all right?
I love Transformers.
Okay,
I had one of those helmets, but that helmet sucked, and everybody wanted to sound like Soundwave. Like, that Soundwave had this really great sound, and there actually is a way to, the software that they used to make the sound at the time was just not available to people and couldn't be put in that helmet. So when I made Voice Changer 360, I wanted the really, really good voice changer in there, and I remembered having fun with this thing as a kid. And so I made this voice changer that had the real, honest to goodness sound wave. It's a vocoder is the audio technique that they use, and the Xbox could easily support that nowadays. We had that in there. So that was an example where I sort of revisit things from my childhood. So a lot of things are things that stories and games that I played as kids, movies that I saw, and things that I enjoyed, and just sort of bringing those things to life, in sort of a modern sense, or an experience in the game. So like if you think of like some of the games that we've done, it's they either kind of like Castle Minor Z. You've seen so many sort of horror things, and movies about adventures and exploring and stuff, and it's like sort of tapping on that stuff, which is one of the reasons I think it's so important to give that to children, is to give them this this rich background of stories and movies and stuff that they can later draw from. Because my fear is always that one day I'm going to run out. That I've only I only saw so many things as a kid, and then I'm just going to sort of run out of those of that inspiration, which I worry about. So I think that
that'll never happen.
Yeah, that'll
never happen.
Yeah.
All right, this one from Terror Wraith. How did you two meet and to get to do this show together?
I know you can tell that story if you want.
Well, after I moved back from California, many of you remember me from my Wii game days in California. When I moved back, I didn't have a job. I wanted a job. So I went to Craigslist. There's no better place, right? All of my best jobs came from where? Craigslist. And there was this ad asking for a community manager. This gaming company in Seattle in Kirkland wanted a community manager. And so I applied, and it was a Facebook gaming company called YayZ, or also Sabby Games, and they wanted a community manager for their new Facebook game, which was called Expedition Egypt. And they didn't have a name for it, by the way. I actually got to name the expedition part, so I feel proud about that. So I applied, and they hired me, and Tom was working on the game at the time. And then I came in to manage the community, and that's how we got to know each other.
It's a funny story because when you came in, I was actually sort of skeptical of you at first, and not because
That's understandable.
Without it's like you look shady. But no, it was that I thought we might have been too small for a dedicated community manager. But one of the things I was impressed with you is that you had this diversity of talent. And that really sold me, and you turned out to be one of the most talented people that worked there because you did a lot of different stuff for us. Like, to say that you just did community management is, because you also did writing for us, and you made videos for us, and you were doing level design at one point too.
That's right.
And, it was hard to. Yeah, I know, and it was like, and you did really good at all those things. So it was I really appreciated having you there.
We had a lot of fun. We got a chance to play a lot of great games, and we made some fun games, and we had a whole lot of potential, but alas, the stars did not align. But thankfully, we both have amazing jobs right now, and we both love what we do. So
definitely.
So it all ended up
and we're
for
great
the best.
friends.
Yes.
So that was worth it for that.
And the babies we were talking about were not us. It was actually my baby boy, Gavin, whom you know, and Tom's brand new baby girl.
Victoria,
Tell us a little bit about your girl.
Like, I have it's our first child. We had her, Victoria Page, and we had her in February. So it's the new experience for me becoming a father.
It's amazing. Congratulations on that. I have to say, when I became a dad, I mean, there's nothing else, right? Like, you're a dad, you're like, yeah, of course I'm a dad. How could I be anything else other than a dad, right?
Yeah.
It's what you want to be as soon as you become it.
Thank you so much. I see the congrats there from
Congrats, Tom, from Thunder God 91.
Yeah, it's I didn't think that I was worried. I didn't think I would take to it because it wasn't like something I thought about doing. But man, once it happened, it was like, wow, this is really amazing.
You just come into your own, right?
Yeah,
it's like instinct. It's just natural.
Yeah, it's just so amazing. I just love it. I just I could just be with my daughter all day long, like easily.
Yeah, I have to say that one of the most frustrating things about my job, even though I love my job, is that I'll be sitting there writing something amazing that I'm really into, and then all of a sudden I'm thinking about my boy, and I'm like, I wish I was at home right now so I could throw him in the air. That's all I want to do at this moment, and it distracts me.
So I figure in a given enough time I'll be making pony games and stuff.
Probably. You'll be making games for your girl.
Yeah, making games for my girl.
You'll have a lot of pink and sparkles.
A lot of pink, sparkly pony games. Is what I'm imagining.
So, there you go. There's a future. Stay tuned. Pink, sparkly zebra stripes. That's what we're looking for. So Shawarma, the sarcastic guy who is sarcastic all the time, says, so is this an arranged marriage meeting being set up?
Congrats. Being a game developer, that's the only way it could be, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah, we don't talk to real girls. We have arrangements.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious.
That's a funny question.
All right. Well, we've done very well on grants. It looks like we have one final Scotch, and mine is out of ice because it's been sitting under this heat lamp, so I'm just going to have to down it.
I'm good here.
I should have eaten dinner first. But I'm okay. So here we go. This isn't technically Scotch.
Wow, that smells just like maple syrup.
But it's a maple syrup whiskey.
Like, not a little bit like maple syrup. I mean, we might as well be smelling a bottle of maple syrup.
All right, so we're going to drink whiskey with pancakes. That's the goal right now.
There's a little smoky, like there was a forest fire or something. Yeah, like in the maple forest. So doesn't it sound like a mythical place? Like,
it kind of does.
Where maple syrup pours from the fountains.
All right, here we go.
I'm not going to give you a whole lot.
That's fine.
Yeah, because I'm sure that...
Thank you, sir. I have had a bit already. So
you did? Okay.
No. No.
Earlier.
Scotch, yeah. I've had a bit. We don't do the drunk thing on this show. We do the gentlemanly thing on this show, where we have just enough to have a gentlemanly beverage, and we know our limits. Cheers to limits.
You expect it to be really sweet. Like,
wow. Yeah, it's not like super sweet, but it has the texture and consistency of like syrup.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of almost feel like I'm pouring some of that syrup that you get from coffee shops. Yeah. It's got that consistency, but it's not quite as sweet as that. And the alcohol part of it is a nice quality to it.
Yeah.
So, which is your favorite so far? Of all the 4 scotches and 1 whiskey that we've tried today, what's your favorite?
I think I like the which was it the no your economy Scotch, the
Scoresby, really?
Scoresby, yeah.
Well, there you go, ladies and
that,
gentlemen. There's a reason I drink this on the show. Once, it's cheap, and second, because apparently it is approved by the Scotch master, Tom over here. So there we go. Scoresby it is. All right, Shawarma says, see, the problem is Ox dresses in this nostalgic way, but he doesn't follow all of the old ways. He should be currently negotiating dowry fees.
Oh yeah. Right, yeah. Well, we've talked about that off camera.
No.
Yeah,
we take the personal life and we keep it off camera. After this, we're going to be negotiating dowry fees and all of that jazz. So.
Somebody asked here where the maple syrup whiskey came, and they said they would laugh if it was from Canada, and actually... It actually is from Canada.
It's Canada.
This is like, this is Canada proper.
Look, it's got the Canadian leaf right there.
Yeah, I mean, this is like, I didn't know that, all Crown Royal comes from Canada, right?
Is it really?
I don't know. But, this is from Canada. I assume that they didn't, open a Canadian branch just for the maple whiskey.
That makes sense to me. So Crown Royal is a Canadian distillery. All right, El Toro Guaco, pleasure to see you here again, says, Oxhorn, I've got to ask, are you going to watch Iron Man 3? I haven't been able to watch movies as of late. However, I watched Iron Man 1, I watched Iron Man 2, I enjoyed both of them. If I don't watch it in the theaters, I will definitely watch it on Netflix.
Yeah, we have the same issue. People that aren't aware, you can't take a baby to the movie.
Yes,
theater.
right.
Yeah,
sit in Iron Man 3.
You take that for granted that some people realize that, but it's like it doesn't really work. I didn't see Iron Man 2, so I'm really frustrated. I wanted to, but I haven't got a chance to because I just don't have a lot of time to watch movies these days.
It was good. It wasn't as good as Iron Man 1, but there are critics who will say that it was horrible.
I loved Iron Man 1.
Yeah.
I just loved it. I just thought it was great. And it made me want to be Tony Stark.
He's got the goatee.
Yeah.
Right?
And still, to this day, I'm like, people ask me, what's your dream house or whatever. I said, I want Tony Stark's house. With the big, on the cliff with the windows and then the lab underneath.
Brilliant.
And I want one of those suits.
What about one of the robot butlers? Would you have one of those?
Robot butler would be great.
I'd do a robot butler. Yeah, that's fine. No, did you see the Avengers?
No, I didn't see the Avengers.
All right, so this is the order you've got to do this in. Watch 1 again just to refresh, then 2, then Avengers, and then maybe we should all go to see 3 together. Yeah. Get my mom to babysit.
Yeah, that would be good. I love them. I'm backlogged. I haven't been able to.
I'm kind of the same way. There's so many great movies that I haven't seen.
Yeah, and it's all these movies I've been like, oh, I gotta go, and then it's like,
It comes and then it goes, and you're like, missed opportunity there.
The indie game lifestyle is a harsh mistake.
I bet. Oh man, the indie game lifestyle. It's just so rough. Interesting. Okay. You guys are stalking me, and that's okay. You can stalk me as much as you want. So, question from I'm a Cute Little Hardcore Kitten says, Oxhorn, I have a quick question. This will be the last time I ask it since I don't spam. Sorry, I didn't see it before then. I have been talking. Did you stream anything last night at around 11 your time? I got an email at 1 a.m. saying that you started streaming. I'm surprised that they email you every time that happens. But yes, I was streaming last night because I was trying to fix the high definition quality of this program. I spent a couple hours working on this video quality to get it better than it usually was. So this is the first episode of Scotch and Smoke Rings that's in true HD. We've got some good lights going on, and I spent last night working on it. So no, your email is not lying to you. I did, in fact, work on this last night. ThunderGod91 asks a very niche question. Maybe you know this or not. He says, Tom, what is your take on the indie game Dead Light? Are you familiar with Dead Light?
It sounds familiar, but I'm actually not familiar with it.
Maybe you can elaborate for us, ThunderGod91. Is that an Xbox game or is it like a PC game?
I definitely haven't played it, so I guess it really isn't worth talking about it if I, haven't played it.
El Toro Guaco says, yeah, I can see the picture quality is better, but you need to work on the sound. Sadly, I've got everything boosted as high as it can go. I'm not sure what else I can do on the sound, but I'll try and take a look at it after the show. ThunderGod91 says, it's like a zombie game on Xbox Live. Are you familiar with that one at all?
It sounds familiar. I know I haven't played it.
He's probably seen it in the list of games that pop up.
Like there's a lot of them, so it's hard to
How many games do you think are on Xbox Live? Just from all the indie developers who have made games for Xbox Live.
For the indie developers, it's around 2,000. But
really,
yeah,
I would expect it to be much higher.
No, it's actually there isn't many developers on Xbox. So in just the indie games, now there's thousands of other ones in Xbox Live Arcade because that's different, and then the retail games. But just indie developers is probably only, I think, I was keeping track of it for a while, but it's a little over 2,000, I think.
So what's the difference between indie developers and arcade?
Oh, okay. So there's sort of like, I guess, 4 different types of games on the Xbox. The first one is the disc that you buy at the store and that you put in, which is like full retail boxes. The next one are essentially those games that you can download on the Xbox themselves. So I think they call them games on demand or something. The next one is Xbox Live Arcade, which is like a higher tier of Xbox. So those games are typically like $20 or so.
Really?
And they're typically games that you've heard of for the most part. Like the really popular right now, like Minecraft is on there.
I see. So it's like a...
And they're published games, but they're a lower tier game than the retail games like Call of Duty. So instead of like a $50 or $60 game, it's like they're anywhere from like $10 to $20.
Would I find World of Goo, for example?
World of Goo would
really?
Would,
I love.
I don't know if
Goo.
it's specifically, but it's the type of game that you would think,
gotcha.
like really. And then the last tier is XBLIG, which is the indie channel, which is anybody can put a game up there. You don't have to. The big difference is like the rest of them, somebody has to publish your game and put it on there.
And then you need to be invited by Xbox, I assume.
Yeah, to do it. And there's all these things that come with that. Where the indie games are games. Super Meat Boy, I see someone mentioning there, is an Xbox Live Arcade game. So those are published games. Where the indie games are small. Anybody can put them up basically.
Okay, so we need a clarification here. Box-Ins Sprinez on Twitch TV says, I heard that Minecraft is on Xbox. Is this that game?
My game is not Minecraft.
Right.
Yeah, Minecraft is a published game on Xbox.
It's a completely different game.
It's a different channel. It's not really... A lot of people say that. They say, well, isn't that an indie game? And it's like technically it is, but they become big enough where they become published.
Right.
So they're on a different channel as the Xbox. They're like a different part of the Xbox, and they're a published game. And I think it's $20 on the Xbox. Here's
a very interesting question from Kutix. How does your friend Tom feel about Microsoft and how it treats indie developers within the marketplace?
This is a really good question because there's been a lot. This is obviously someone that's been following sort of the drama that's gone on there.
Definitely.
And Microsoft, first of all, I have to say that they to have an opportunity to just put a game on the Xbox is an amazing opportunity.
Right.
It was something that didn't exist, 5 years ago. And so if you made your own games, like when I was 5 years old, and I mean, I started when I was 5. I was making games through the time I was a teenager and things like that. No one ever saw those games.
They were for you and your family.
Because
right?
there was no way to get them out there. And now, to be able to just push a button and get your game on the Xbox is a big thing. And to be able to have that game sit next to Call of Duty is a big thing. And I've written a lot of articles about, the on both sides of it, talking about, the opportunities on the Xbox and versus the problems with that system. And I actually wrote an article that got on Gama Sutra that got a lot of pickup on the problems with that marketplace. With that being said, Microsoft has kind of treated us a bit shabby. They've always sort of put us in a place that was separate from the rest of the Xbox. They're essentially discontinuing the service, like from all popular everything everybody's been able to assess. Yeah, it's like they the next Xbox, they haven't made a commitment, any sort of commitment to indie, where all the other consoles are making really strong commitments to indies right now.
Is that why you're experimenting with the PC version and the
definitely, because eventually we will have to make games in other places besides the Xbox. I would love to continue to just make games for the Xbox because it's such an easy system to develop for. But they're essentially Microsoft is kind of pulling the rug out from under us, so we have to do that. So yeah, it's upsetting to see that. And but to that said, it's that. There's been a lot. Every time they change the dashboard, they sort of push us away into the indie stuff, and then after people complain, they've brought us back. So right now we're really kind of on the same, in terms of exposure, the same level as XBLA games. So I can't really complain too much.
Well, it's good that they're able to give you just the opportunity. That's amazing.
Yep.
But it's sad that they wouldn't put as much emphasis on indie games.
Yeah, and this is where where it all is. Like all the other consoles realize that this is what it's all about these days, and the indie is where it's at, and they are sort of like I don't know, they're gonna have a big announcement here in 30 days. For the next Xbox, so we'll see if they're gonna have an answer to it that all the other consoles had, because the Sony has made a big commitment to indies. The Nintendo has made a big commitment to indies. Steam has as well. I mean, they're attempting and they're changing their system, but the Xbox seems to be going the opposite way, and they're sort of pushing indies away now.
Well, what a bummer. But it is that time, ladies and gentlemen. It is 8:15. We're 15 minutes after the usual closing of the show, but that's okay because we've got an amazing broadcast today. But that means that it's Smoke Ship time. Ladies and gentlemen, what is on your mind? As is customary at the end of every episode of ScotchandSmokeDrinks.com, we, like Gandalf, are endowed with the ability to blow a smoke ship into existence. I, of course, am very practiced at this ability, but Tom is going to be blowing his very first smoke ship today. So he now has that ability. He'll probably be using this pipe, so there you go. So it's smoke ship time. What are your ideas? He's going to be blowing a smoke ship based on your suggestions. As extravagant as you want to make it, he will figure out how to do it in his mouth.
Oh my God.
And create it for you
a lot of pressure.
Before your very eyes. I hope you're ready.
Yeah,
it's going to be amazing.
All
right, here we go. What are your ideas? Goldbreath says, Ox and Tom sailing a dinghy-made ship covered in bacon, sailing through a sea of old Wii Games staff members on an adventure to Egypt as the fans beat the new Clorne Hastings game and eat panda pizzas.
That is impressive.
That's an impressive ship. I really like that. Thunder God 91 says Oxhorn sporting the beard style of Uncle Iroh, eating bacon while programming The Tale of Clorne Hastings, the video game, with the help of Tom while drinking a classy glass of scotch. All right, it seems that the Tale of Clorne Hastings video game idea has really taken off in this community.
Yeah, we're going to have to do that now.
Yes, we will. Autumn says Oxhorn in a giant horde battle tank running over an army of gnomes while Mortus... Your mouth? Yeah, you just practice the tongue movements. That's the important thing. While Mortus and Staghorn pilot a flying warship that shoots down rabid wolverines at elves. Okay, I like that one. Deathwing 7734 the First says a ship covered in spikes with Gavin piloting it while Oxhorn mans the harpoon and Deathwing swoops down to attack the ship.
Wow.
Deathwing, of course, being a giant dragon. WGSX Frank says smoke dirigible.
Dirigible, like a hot air balloon.
Okay, a smoke hot air balloon. Thank you. I didn't even know what that was.
Really?
Piloted by Tom while
No, like a Zeppelin.
Oh, okay. So it's a smoke Zeppelin.
Yeah, smoke Zeppelin.
So a smoke Zeppelin piloted.
Sounds like a good name for a band.
It does.
Or an indie game company.
We're the Dirigibles.
Yeah. Oh, Smoke Zeppelin is what I was going to go for.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Smoke Zeppelin. Our style is a little lighter than Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
Not quite
Smoke Zeppelin.
Piloted by Tom while a proud Oxhorn looks on. Staghorn and Mortus are dropping bacon bit rations to the hungry people below. Simple and classy. All right, I like that. Have any stood out to you yet, or should we keep going?
There was one with bacon.
I think all of them have had bacon in it. This is a community that not only likes the Tale of Clorne Hastings video games ideas, but bacon.
Oh, I love bacon. We should do a show on bacon sometime.
By the way, did you ever drink any of that bacon-flavored vodka?
Yes.
What did you think?
It's an acquired taste. Yeah. It tastes like pork. I mean, it really does.
It's like liquid pork?
Yeah, so you gotta, it makes a good, I can't think of the name of it, Bloody Mary.
So it's tomato-based pork alcohol.
Yeah. It's like you wouldn't put it in like a Jello shot or something like that. That would,
I see.
I wanted to make Jello shots with unflavored gelatin with the bacon-flavored vodka, because then I thought it would be like bacon fat, but I thought maybe people would find that objectionable in the end. But
so take a straw and slurp up some vodka bacon fat?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, this is great. Try to incorporate this into your smoke ship ideas, ladies and gentlemen. I like it. Ninja of WoW says Oxhorn, Tom, and Nova roaming around Castle Miner, Staghorn and Hat are playing with baby Gavin on a nice-sized cruise ship. Mortus and Associate Professor Evil, I'll correct you, skinning and cooking pandas while Ralaran, Mr. 8-Ball, and Ninja of WoW are killing the Thunder King throne room being so late. Wow, that was amazing. Very detailed. Thank you so much for that. El Toro Guaco says, Ox and Tom floating on each other's hats in a sea following Cloran Hastings while blowing on pipes made of bacon and blowing rings that smell like syrup. You know what? That is straight, simple, to the point. I think that's a winner. Do you think you can craft that out of nothing but smoke?
Okay, so let's break this down.
Sure.
Okay.
Oxhorn and Tom,
Okay.
the two of us,
Yes.
we're floating on each other's
Yeah.
hats. So I'm standing on a top hat.
I got it.
You're standing on a derby. Okay. And
Got
we're in the sea.
Yeah.
And we're trying to follow Cloran Hastings, who's in a giant ship.
Yeah.
He's the hero of my
Okay.
novel. While blowing on pipes. So we're taking our pipes
Got
and
a
we're
pipe.
blowing
So
on
it's a
pipes.
pipe within a pipe.
Yes, it's a pipe within a pipe. It's kind of like Inception.
Pipeception.
The pipeception.
Yeah.
Stick with me here. While the pipes are made of bacon, actually. So they're bacon pipes.
Now, when I'm blowing on my pipe,
Yes.
will I be blowing the thing that I'm blowing
Yes.
while I'm blowing on my
No,
pipe?
no. So, well, yes, you will. But both of us will. You're blowing on your pipe, but you're creating an image of us both blowing on bacon pipes
Yeah.
on hats at sea.
But will those pipes be also blowing images of us?
They're blowing something, but they
pipes.
need not be images
Okay.
of us.
It's an important detail.
Anyway, so we're blowing these pipes made of bacon and blowing smoke rings that smell
How do you
like
not
syrup.
have a bacon pipe already?
I don't know. The fans haven't sent me one. I haven't had enough time to make my own.
Yeah.
Fermenting bacon and then removing the fat and crafting it, it's a time-consuming
Yeah, that's like a whole nother show.
All right, so both of us on hats in the water, smoking pipes made of bacon, creating smoke rings which smell like syrup.
Okay.
Okay, are you ready?
Yeah.
Here we go. Take a few puffs first to get the smoke flowing. There's no smoke yet. Just a big long drag into your mouth. You don't have to inhale it.
Okay.
Just into your mouth like you're smoking through a straw. Just get rid of it first. We need to get a good one. All right, now fill your mouth with the smoke. Here we go. And get close to the camera. Here we go. Smoke ship time. Here it comes. Wow! I hope you didn't miss it, but for the briefest of moments there before your eyes were the both of us standing on hats in a sea with pipes made of bacon in our mouths, following Cloran Hastings in his ship and creating smoke rings made of smoke but that had the scent of syrup. I hope you didn't miss it, because if you did, you blinked. Usually I say I hope
I
you didn't
smelled the
blink.
syrup, too.
Did you really?
Yeah.
In the smoke?
It might have been the Scotch, though.
It's very good
Yeah.
Scotch. Cheers, ladies and gentlemen. Bottoms up. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That was a smoke ship blown by our very good Tom, the creator of DigitalDNAGames. Thank you for coming to this week's episode of Scotch and Smoke Rings, episode 196. I had a blast. We're going to have to do this much more often.
I think so. This was definitely really fun.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, be sure to tune in next week. Same Ox time, same Ox channel, scotchandsmokerings.com. And, as always, we say here, be sure, my friends, to stay classy.